Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look at the first batch of 12 books published as part of the Little Clothbound Classics by Penguin Classics here in the UK. Now these have just been published. They're the most exquisite little hardbacks I've seen in a very long time, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy looking through them as much as I have. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. So as you see me unbox my collection of Little Clothbound Classics, I'll just read you this little introduction from the Penguin website. So, introducing Little Clothbound Classics, irresistible mini editions of short stories, novellas and essays from the world's greatest writers, designed by the award-winning Coralie Bickford-Smith. Celebrating the range and diversity of Penguin classics, they take us from snowy Japan to springtime Vienna, from haunted New England to a sun-drenched Mediterranean island, and from a game of chess on the ocean to a love story on the moon. Beautifully designed and printed, these collectible editions are bound in colourful, tactile cloth and stamped with foil. So I've got one of my normal-sized clothbound classics, and I popped it next to the Little Clothbound Classics, so you get an idea of the difference in the dimensions here. Obviously a little bit shorter and a little bit narrower, but they do sort of fit in the hand. They're very, very similar. They feel like a traditional A format book rather than these, which is more like a B format hardback. Beautiful tactile cloth covers again, really, really nice, very similar to the normal clothbound classics, and as you can see, in this lovely pocket format. Beautiful. So what we'll do, we'll go through the initial 12 and we'll have a look at each one bit by bit, and I'll give you a little synopsis about each one as well. So the first one is Shirley Jackson, The Lottery. Step into the unsettling world of Shirley Jackson with a collection of her finest, creepiest short stories, revealing the Queen of American Gothic at her mesmerizing best. This selection includes The Lottery, Jackson's masterpiece and one of the most terrifying and iconic stories of the 20th century. This quote here from Neil Gaiman: "An amazing writer. If you haven't read any of her short stories, you have missed out on something marvellous." And there we are, and I think this is going to be the first one that I actually read, because I've not read a lot of Shirley Jackson at all, so they do sound excellent. Looks like this has been reset specifically for this edition, and that's nice to see as well. Really beautiful, clear typeface. These are going to be an absolute delight to read. Very, very nice indeed. The next one is Lola Willows by Sylvia Townsend Warner. So Lola Willows, so gentle and accommodating, has depths no one suspects. When she suddenly announces that she is leaving London and moving alone to the depths of the countryside, her overbearing relatives are horrified. But Lolly has a greater, far darker calling than family: witchcraft. Now Helen MacDonald says, "The book I'll be pressing into people's hands forever is Lola Willows. Starting as a straightforward, albeit beautifully written family saga, it tips suddenly into extraordinary lucid wildness." And there we are, there's a list of the Little Clothbounds, the initial 12, which we'll look at today, and then the second batch of 12, which is coming up. Now notice these have all got the stickers on for scanning. They haven't gone the route of the larger format clothbounds with sort of like the belly band approach. So the third book is The Queen of Spades, Alexander Pushkin. So a countess with a card trick, love letters filled with deception, a desperate man with a pistol, The Queen of Spades. One of Pushkin's most popular and chilling stories, and it's accompanied here by the thrilling Dubrovsky and unforgettable Tales of Belkin. So this has got 3 sort of novellas by Pushkin, and they've been put together in the one volume. There they are. And I'd say this is probably got the highest page count of all these little cloth-bound classics at about 260 pages. Lovely, lovely design on this. Just feels, this is like the perfect size for reading. It's just great. This next one here is The Mask of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. Arguably America's most influential short story writer, Edgar Allan Poe's tales of suspense never fail to spook and amaze. Gathered in this selection are his very best horror stories, including the Gothic tour de force, The Fall of the House of Usher, and otherworldly The Mask of the Red Death, and his murderous The Telltale Heart. Alfred Lord Tennyson describes him as the most original genius that America has produced. Well, these are very much classics, and look at that, very, very familiar titles there. And this is very, very thin, but it's probably the most perfect Edgar Allan Poe companion that you'll ever really need. And just look at that cover, there's lots of different elements there, aren't there? Lots going on here. Oh, it's good. It's good stuff. And even on the back is like a bespoke back. I love it. So far, this is my favourite one of them all. So far. Gorgeous. That's really, really nice. So next we got Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. One morning, ordinary salesman Gregor Samsa wakes up to find himself transformed into a giant cockroach. Metamorphosis, Kafka's masterpiece of unease and black humour, is one of the 20th century's most influential works of fiction, and is accompanied here by two more classic stories. Now, Vladimir Nabokov described him as he is the greatest German writer of our time. Such poets as Rilke or such novelists as Thomas Mann are dwarfs or plaster saints in comparison to him. Metamorphosis. Yes, this is a classic one. The cover almost looks like a Rorschach test, doesn't it? Absolutely incredible. And there's the three stories: Metamorphosis, In the Penal Colony, and The Judgment, a story for F. Really like the way the black jumps out against the yellow sort of cloth there. Excellent stuff. So book 6 then is of Ghosts and Goblins, Lafcadio Hearn. So in this haunting collection, the phantoms and ghouls of Japanese folklore stalk the page. Lafcadio Hearn, a master storyteller, drew on traditional Japanese folklore infused with memories of his own haunted childhood in Ireland to create these chilling tales. They are today regarded in Japan as classics in their own right. The Wall Street Journal said that the stories occupy the revelry world of our minds projects onto the backs of our eyelids, where the ordinary mingles with the supernatural. What an interesting jacket that is. And the sort of the motif carries over here onto the top and bottom of the spine. It's an author I've never read, so I can't pass judgment myself until I've actually got to read this one. But it's a good little collection and they're not very long, so quite easy to dip in and out of there. There we are, just a few pages even just for the introduction there. Excellent stuff. So there we are, that's the first 6, and yet there's another 6 to go through. So next we've got Cosmo Comics by Italo Calvino. This is 12 enchanting and fantastical stories about the evolution of the universe from the giant of Italian literature, Italo Calvino. His characters, whether human, dinosaur, or mollusk, disport themselves among galaxies, experience the solidification of planets, move from aquatic to terrestrial existence, play games with hydrogen atoms, and have time for a love life. Ursula Le Guin says, a landmark in fiction, the work of a master. This does look really, really nice, doesn't it? What a jacket. The orange with the yellow overlaid is just magic. Really, really something that this is just one of the great ones. It's just, you can just tell straight off it's going to make such a lovely gift, this. I'm definitely going to be reading this one. Yeah, it does appear as if every single book has been literally reset exclusively for this edition, and they just look all the great for it. They're just so easy on the eye. They're very, very nice indeed. That is lovely. Good stuff. Now this next one, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pronounce his name quite right. So Ryunosuke Akutagawa, and J. Rubin was the translator. Hellscreen is the title. So Akutagawa was one of the towering figures of modern Japanese literature and is considered the father of the Japanese short story. This paradigmatic selection, which includes the stories that inspired Akira Kurosawa's 1950 film Rashomon, showcases the terrible beauty, cynicism, sublime pain, and absurd humour of his writing. Haruki Murakami says, "One never tires of reading and rereading his best works. The elegantly spare style has a true spine-tingling brilliance." Well, this is definitely an author I've never read. I mean, it's an author I can barely pronounce his name. But this does look very, very interesting. And if Murakami's recommending him, then that's a great sign, isn't it? I can just see he's doing so well. Ah, lovely. A fairly minimalist cover on this particular one. It's alright. I love the lime green colour. That is gorgeous. Very, very nice indeed. So this is Passing by Nella Larsen. Claire Kendry, elegant, fair-skinned and ambitious, is married to a white man who is unaware of her African-American heritage. When she reunites with childhood friend Irene, who has not hidden her origins, both women are forced to confront their secret fears that they've buried within themselves. A taunt exploration of race and gender, Passing is one of the Harlem Renaissance's greatest works. The New York Times said, "A tragic story rooted in inescapable facts of American life." And this looks interesting, doesn't it? So I've not read this one, so I don't know what the cover is symbolising there. Like a broken plate, broken bit of crockery rather, broken cup there. There we are. It's like a little novella in 3 parts there. Lovely. That looks very interesting, that, doesn't it? Yeah, quite an interesting one. So now, a very familiar name to most people, Jane Austen, Lady Susan. So with this one it says, recently widowed, the unscrupulous and beautiful lazy Susan Vernon is determined to scheme her way through high society in the hope of a profitable new match, all while trying to marry off her unfortunate daughter. Told through a series of letters, Jane Austen's magnificent first novella is as subversive as it is charming. And Virginia Woolf had this to say, the wit of Jane Austen has for partner the perfection of her taste. Well, look at that. What a lovely jacket that one is with the fountain pen. Very, very nice. So this is Jane Austen's first novella. And there we are, as I said, told in a series of letters. How interesting. Once again, this one reeks of being a really, really nice gift that you could give someone. I love the pen's top and bottom of the spine there as well. This truly is that's a really, really nice sort of present that you could give someone, that one. And I think these really do make great gifts, as well as, superb additions to your own library. So the 11th one we're looking at here is The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. So in this inspirational allegorical guide, Al-Mustafa, the Prophet, delivers spiritual yet practical homilies on the work of living beauty, truth, possessions, sorrow, joy, death, and more. Translated into more than 50 languages and among the best-selling books of all time, The Prophet remains a wise and revitalizing handbook for the soul. There we are. What a nice edition it is of it as well. There we are, look on all the different subjects. It's got the 12 illustrations reproduced by the original author. Very, very nice indeed. So the last of the initial batch of 12 is this one, The Ballad of the Sad Cafe, Carson, McCullers. Few writers have expressed loneliness, the need for human understanding, and the search for love with such power and poetic sensibility as the American writer Carson McCullers. The Ballad of the Sad Cafe is her masterpiece, an unruly, bittersweet novella concerning the most unlikely of love triangles. Tennessee Williams had this to say about it: the greatest prose writer that the South produced. She has examined the heart of man with an understanding that no other writer can hope to surpass. Once again, it's not an author that I can say I've tried, but this does sound quite tempting, doesn't it? Very, very nice, sort of this fawny, very light brown cover with the leaves just dropping down there. It sort of suggests something, doesn't it? Almost like it's like autumn and something like that. Gorgeous. Now there's another 12 books in this series being published on the 3rd of November, and that includes a real favourite of mine, The Adventures of the Blue Carbuncle, a Sherlock Holmes story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Very much looking forward to that one. Now I have popped a few links in the description down below. First, to the official Penguin Little Clothbound Classics mini site. I've also linked to each book individually on Amazon, as they can be a little tricky to find on there. Also, on the official Penguin Books channel here on YouTube, they have recently posted a fascinating behind-the-scenes interview with the designer Coralie Bickford-Smith, where she explains her design process, and we see these little books come to life. My thanks goes out to Penguin Classics for sending me this initial batch of 12 for review. Many thanks to you for watching today. I do hope you've enjoyed looking through these as much as I have. If so, do please give that video a like and hit the subscribe button for regular, vintage and modern Penguin Books content. And finally, why not leave a comment with suggestions of future titles that you'd like to see as part of the Little Clothbound Classics range in the future. Bye.